Let it play, ladies and gentlemen.
So, like, cool about it. So first thing is, you talked about your Instagram. That was one thing I noticed about you. Is you had a lot of followers. I know you did, like, the dub videos and you put, like, stuff together. Right?
Yeah, it was, bro, it was, I look back on it now and I'm almost embarrassed because it was so, like, the edits were so bad, bro, but it worked. Like,
yeah, bro.
I saw something out there because I've seen, like, you can't just jump in and do the same shit that everybody else is doing.
No.
People make mistakes. They're like, I want to start an account, and then they just start posting the same shit that the big accounts already have. So it's like, why would I follow your shit when I can just follow the big one? But anyways, yeah, I took old footage of fighters and interviews, and I would cut them up, and I would make these stupid questions that were like made up to go with the footage of the fighter talking, and then I would send them to the fighter and DM it to him, and you know, certain ones would end up reposting it.
What we call in the business, what we call right there, people, we call that stealing somebody's material. That's what we call it. That's the slang term for it, ladies and gentlemen. It's called stealing somebody else's material. And what you do is, to try to distance yourself from stealing other people's material, when you're in an interview and somebody's, you know, asking you questions, what you do to try to distance yourself from telling everybody that you steal other people's material, what you do is you say, oh, so what I did was I stole a bunch of material, I changed it a little bit, I sent it to some fighters, and then if they wanted to post it, you know, they posted it. Like, it's on the fighter. The fighter posted it. See, you know, I was just making videos, and then, you know, the fighter posted it. That's what you do. Anybody that wants to get into the media, what you do is you take all these big channels, right, and steal their material, change it a little bit, send it to a fighter, and if a fighter posts it, it's okay, because a fighter posted it. You know, just put a little credit in there, you know. There you go. There's your big tip, ladies and gentlemen.
And that was kind of how I made connections with fighters, was I would reach out to them that way, and if they knew.
That's how he made connections with fighters, ladies and gentlemen. What he did was he stole other people's material. Just changed it a little bit. Oh, he didn't post it. He didn't put it out in the public. He just sent it to some fighters. And then, you know, if the fighters wanted to post the stolen material, yeah, so I didn't do it. You know, that's what he's saying. But we're going to find out which one's cool and which one's the dick.
Any fighter, I'd be like, hey, can you link me with this guy, etc., etc. And then I got pretty good at making memes. I feel like I have a pretty quick-witted sense of humor. You know what I mean? And I was.
You know what most memes do? Most memes, what they do is they, you know, it's like wrecking people's lives. You know? I mean, right here, the OG Shawny Mack. If he goes in any kind of depth on this, he'll probably say, you know, that his memes didn't hurt anybody and such like that. I don't know. They're harmless, probably. Yeah. So, before we started this video right here, so it's going to be about 2 days before we post it, we reached out to OG Shawny Mack on his Instagram, and we're going to see if OG Shawny Mack gets back with us. Because both these guys claim, him and James Lynch both claim that they're like, they'll get back to people. Let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen.
Able to catch on to making internet memes pretty quickly. I mean, mind you, it's got me in some shit, but I also wouldn't be here if it wasn't for making internet memes.
Yeah, so right there, he just said right there, got him in a little bit of shit. Why did it get him in a little bit of shit, right? Probably because he was saying something that's probably wrecking somebody's life. Somebody's lives. Somebody's life. Somebody's career is what we're talking about. Down goes Mickey Gall, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, right? We don't know if Mickey's been drinking or not, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't look too steady on his feet, ladies and gentlemen. Good friend of the show here, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Gall right here, ladies and gentlemen, holding the microphone for Simon Feck 1 Foot Cock, ladies and gentlemen. So when you make memes, you know, it's like the MMA Guru, but MMA Guru is like in action memes going around wrecking people's lives. So here you go. The old OG Shawny Mack stealing people's material, making memes, getting people mad at him. Let's see what else we got. But again, one of these guys is cool, and the other one's a dick. Okay, we'll figure it out, right? We're getting there, right?
And that just sort of blew up. That combined with me being super active in comment sections, like every fight night, I would find the big MMA accounts, and if a fight ended and something controversial happened, or it was just a big fight of the night, I would always make some stupid, quick-witted comment in the comments.
Now, I'm just guessing because he doesn't clarify, but some quick-witted, stupid comment. There you go. I don't know. Some people, I don't know. Is this going to be like in the realm of trolling, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So now we got stealing people's material, making memes, wrecking people's lives and their careers, making quick-witted, stupid comments, probably like trolling. It's just a guess, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, one of these guys is cool and one's a dick. Let's get to it. Let it roll.
Section as soon as the post was posted, and then that would sort of draw attention to my account as well.
Makes sense.
One other thing you mentioned was the bare knuckle, like paying for travel and stuff like that. It's something I talk about in here a lot because a lot of people don't get it. They think everything's always paid for. Like, I can't tell you how many events I paid my own way because you want to get the content, you want to get your name out there, you want to invest that time.
That's another thing, too, about these media guys. They all got to say, and especially this James Lynch idiot. And I'll talk to you about him, too, about, Jose Youngs. I had a little conversation, Simon Feck, 1 Foot Cock, had a little conversation recently with James Lynch about Jose Youngs. And by the way, let me tell you something here. You listen to me right now, Mr. Whoa, Black Betty. You can't dox somebody. Listen to me. You're telling Musical MMA, Simon Feck's going around doxing people. You can't dox the Sewer King. And when you say the Sewer King, a.k.a. Jose Youngs, that is not doxing. Whoa, Black Betty. Okay? You want to know why? Because Jose Youngs is not his name. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Whoa, Black Betty. You can't dox somebody if you're not telling. It's called name and address. That's doxing. Name and address. The Sewer King, also known as Jose Youngs. Jose Youngs is not his name. The Sewer King is not his name either. Know your shit, dude. Before you go around and start posting shit, Know your shit. I know all these guys. These two guys right here, I know both of them. They're getting ready to talk about bare knuckle. So I walk around bare knuckle too. That's how this all got started. People hired me because of the MMA Guru and the Nina Drama thing. That's how it all started. Then I get wrapped up in all these guys. I know all these media guys. I know that Jose Youngs is not his name. I also know that his name isn't Sewer King. It's neither of those. Nobody's doxing anybody. It's name and address. Whoa, Black Betty.
Time and everything like that. You mentioned like how's the bank account looking at that point? Because it's like we can kind of mention this here. We're both from British Columbia here in Canada. It's not a cheap flight.
They're both from British Columbia. Always. Okay, Jose Youngs, which isn't his name, right? He's not from Delaware, ladies and gentlemen. He's from Canada, ladies and gentlemen. And you know who told me that Jose Youngs, which is not his real name, is a Canadian? It's this guy right here, James Young. Inside the UFC Media area, it's not the UFC Media area, it's inside the UFC Media area. Okay? You get it? Inside the UFC Media area, this guy right here, James Lynch, happens to tell me, and this girl sitting next to me, that Jose Youngs is also Canadian. But he's not from where we're from. He's from the other side of Canada. And also Simon Feck here, right? So Simon Feck, right here, Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. Simon Feck takes a look, because Jose Young, and that's not his name, ladies and gentlemen. Jose Youngs opens up his briefcase. And what do you think's in there? The thing right here. You see this thing right here? It's called the Hand of Truth, ladies and gentlemen. The Hand of Truth. That Mike Perry right here is holding. Mike Perry. I'll eat everything you got. I'll eat everything you got, Jake Paul. I'll eat everything you got. Everything you got, Jake Paul. As long as you pay me enough. And I was backstage for that stuff, and that stuff is fake. They told Mike Perry to say, I'll eat everything you got, which was a setup. The next day, Ariel Helwani, he's told to say early in the fight, like I think it might be the first round. If Mike Perry doesn't keep his hands up, he's not going to win this fight. Okay, so right there, the Hand of Truth. The Hand of Truth right here that Mike Perry's holding. I've seen 2, 3, 4 of those things in the suitcase of Jose Youngs, which isn't his real name. Whoa, Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty. Bam-a-lam, say, whoa, Black Betty. Bam-a-lam, say, whatever. Well, Black Betty, if you're going to go around talking about people and saying that they're going around doxing people, make sure that they're doxing people. You can't, it's name and address. So I found a few of these things. I didn't find them. I seen them in Jose Young's briefcase, ladies and gentlemen. Then there was another time. I'm in the UFC Media area, and Amy Kaplan, what's his name? Oscar Willis, Jose Youngs, which isn't his real name, and Kenny. They're all there talking. And Jose is the one that usually talks the most, right? Because he thinks his shit don't stink, and he's the greatest thing, and I mean, if you knew him, you would know what I'm talking about. It's one of those people that, you know, everything's about them and all the great things they've done, and knows how to wear the right cologne, and knows where to go buy the best shoes. Knows how to go and get the best mustache like thickener. Probably talks to, what's his name, Leydon? E Casey Leydon, whatever his name is. Telling him, you know, because Casey's in the movie business, right? Asking him, you know, to get tattoo cream. Jose Youngs knows where to get the best tattoo cream, you know, for hiding tattoos, you know. Ladies and gentlemen. So then, also, I was in the UFC media area when people were going, oh, and who said what? And then they said this, and then said what? But, well, who is the guy? And Amy Kaplan speaks up and goes, it's probably the MMA guru. And ever since then, that's when the MMA guru blew up. So Amy Kaplan was the one that mentioned the MMA guru with inside the MMA, the UFC media area. And then the MMA guru admits that's when, you know, he blew up. Then later on down the road, the MMA guru, during a press conference, makes a statement about Amy Kaplan. Amy Kaplan asking a question. Talking about her physique, saying it's not, you know, like the best physique on the planet, whatever, you know. And that's when it all started, baby. And that's when Simon Feck got hired. But there's one thing, there's a huge story out there. There's a huge story out there, and none of these guys are picking it up. And you got Jose Youngs, who is banned from YouTube, going on the MMA fighting on SBN's website, excuse me, not website, the YouTube channel. And he's also going on the UFC channel, YouTube channel. Jose Youngs is banned. I don't want to give you his real name. I don't want to give his real name out, because that would be doxing. And another thing about doxing too, doxing, when you're a reporter, right? When you're a journalist, you get a story and you report on the story. It's a little bit different. I'm working as a journalist. If I want to say, like Anthony Jose Youngs, then you know, somebody else, I guess that would be called doxing. But in this world, the journalism world, it's called reporting. Because Jose Youngs is going to get the MMA fighting on SBN YouTube channel shut down. There's already people that don't like him as a sewer king.
To go from here to Miami, so how worried were you about that? That, like, obviously you're investing this into getting content and being a part of Bare Knuckle, but you're also worried, like, I can't do this forever. I'm going to run out of money, right?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I've learned that if you want something bad enough, like, money will come and go, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I could have $1 million in my bank account, and fucking 5-6 months from now, something shitty could happen, and I could have $20,000 in my bank account. You know what I mean? So.
And not only that, listen to me, OG Shawny Mack. Not only that, people forget, man. People forget that Laura Sanko's hot, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Down goes Mickey Gall, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man, we had a good setup here, ladies and gentlemen. Down goes Derek Goldberg. Down goes Jackson McVey. Man, we had it all set up good, man. You got Brunno here begging for his life. Jackson McVey with his hand on top of Bruno's head, smashing. I mean, that was the plan. That was the Derek Lewis plan. You know, because everything's planned out. You got Bryan Battle over here. Derek Moneyberg, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Take two. Not only that, OG Shawny Mack, people forget, man. People forget. OG Shawny Mack. People forget, man. People forget that Laura Sanko's hot, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right. Laura Sanko's hot, ladies and gentlemen. People forget. People forget, man. Laura Sanko's hot, man. Sitting on the face of the MMA Guru mask, ladies and gentlemen. Right here we got Laura Sanko, ladies and gentlemen. And people forget she's hot, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean, people forget, man. Laura Sanko's hot, ladies and gentlemen.
It definitely wasn't cheap, but I was lucky enough to have a buddy of mine that I've known since I was, you know, we grew up together. Since we were little kids. And he's a big MMA fan as well. He was with me when I went to the Colby and Kamaru Usman fight. And I told him that I wanted to start, you know, doing this full time. He was financially in a position to help me out. He said, you know what, bro, I see your potential in this, and I want to help you out. So he, you know, for the first few times I was covering bare knuckle, he would pay for my flights.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and to this day, I can't ever repay somebody for something like that. You know, I can give them some dollars back, you know, now that I've made a few dollars, but I mean, something like that is, how do you put a price on something like that? You know, I didn't have the money, so one of my best friends decides to fund me to go and do this for a living. You know, I could never repay that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, no, I love hearing stuff like that. Again, you invest the time in, things can work out, right? Like, it's not just something like you just got the job. Like I said, it was all these things. It was the Instagram building up. It was the bare knuckle content. All these things prepared you for this moment of getting the, you know, the full send gig, right? That's how you have to.
Yeah, that's how he got the full send gig, right? I guess. I don't know. I don't care. I wasn't listening, right? But the one thing right here, Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. Now, I've been going into the apex. I call it the apex, right? We'll just keep it like that. I've been going into the apex since UFC 1, ladies and gentlemen. And then I have a relative in BKFC. My relative is David Feldman, okay? So I've been going to BKFC since BKFC 1. And then people go, well, how old are you, Simon Feck? And I'm thinking, you know, how old does somebody think, you know, that a black crow could be? But anyways, besides that, if people would have more of an imagination, if people would have more than a, you know, like an imagination, I mean, if people would just get an imagination, right? So immediately they think, hey, Simon Feck's been going in to the apex since UFC 1. He's got to be old. Well, I mean, you look at these guys' hairline. Look at this James Lynch. Look at that hairline. Look at this hidden hairline up here of OG Shawny Mack, right? Shawny says somewhere in this interview that he's like in his 30s, I believe. The UFC just celebrated their 30th anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck has been going into the Apex since UFC 1. So if I was like 20 years old at UFC 1, let's say, what would I be? Like 50? What if my dad fought at UFC 1 and I was 6 weeks old? How old would I be? I mean, get a fucking imagination, you fucking son of bitches. It doesn't make a bit of sense. God, he's got to be old. 30 years old. It's pretty old for a bird. Now, my dad's not around anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Let me tell you a story about my dad, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, my father, Simon Feck's father, my father was flying down the road. That's right. My father was, flying, flying down the road. And it was like an interstate, right? You got like 3 lanes one way, then you got the median, and then like 3 lanes, let's say, going the other way. So, I mean, and there's witnesses there, and they said that my father was flying down the road, and then at some point he started and flew across the road, and he got hit by a car, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. He was flying too low, and instead of flying above, the windshield, the roofs and everything like that, he was flying at windshield height. And he got hit by a car. He splattered all over the windshield and flew up, and a couple other cars ran him over. And then some of our relatives came by, saw him on the road, and started pecking at him. And then dragged him along, to the side of the road and finished him off. Didn't even crack his wishbone, I wish somebody would have saved his wishbone, but they didn't. I mean, I was just a young kid. I mean, you could have given me the wishbone, and then one day I'd save it for a rainy day and then crack it. And then maybe, crack it and the wishbone and get the bigger side of the wishbone. And then my wish comes true that Jose Youngs from MMA Fighting would just tell people that he's the sewer king. And then tell everybody that, that he got banned, from Lifetime, from YouTube, and he shouldn't go on the UFC YouTube channel and the MMA Fighting on SBN YouTube channel, so they don't get strikes and get banned, get permanently banned. And I wish the Sewer King would tell everybody, even though he's permanently banned, it only took him 1 week to start uploading his Sewer King stuff again on the channel called Sewer King SK, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the story of my father. And just because I've been going into the Apex since UFC 1 and BKFC 1 is because my father was a fighter in the UFC, ladies and gentlemen. And my relative is David Feldman of BKFC. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So right here we have Mike Perry, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Back here, right there, the big blue guy. The big blue guy back here is none other than Big Ben Rothwell, ladies and gentlemen. On top of Big Ben Rothwell is the Sewer King. The Sewer King's riding high on the BKFC fighter, Big Ben Rothwell, ladies and gentlemen. Way over there is Dana White and the Money Machine, ladies and gentlemen. In the purple right here, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Nina Drama. And people forget, man, people forget that Nina Drama's hot, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, people forget. That's right. Right up here, your commentary, right up here, ladies and gentlemen. Your left, my far right, right there, ladies and gentlemen. DC, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. DC is having trouble with the MMA GURU, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, man, people forget, man. People forget that the MMA GURU is a fat slob, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA GURU is nothing but a big tub of lard, ladies and gentlemen. People forget, man. In the middle of the commentary table right there, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan. And we had to get rid of John Anik, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't deal with 3 bald guys in a row, ladies and gentlemen, because Dana White only hires bald people, ladies and gentlemen. Right there, the man in the warrior haircut, ladies and gentlemen, in the red, in the warrior haircut, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Moss from MMA-holes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. And don't forget that Moss from MMA-holes has a clam, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. He has a personal possession. He has a clam, ladies and gentlemen. Right over here, we have a dedication of the clam. Right over here, you see this right here? That's right. Moss's clam right there, ladies and gentlemen. Right over here, ladies and gentlemen. Right there, that's Dana White's right-hand woman right there. People forget, man. People forget that Lene Breckenridge is hot, ladies and gentlemen. People forget, right here, Lene Breckenridge. People forget Lene Breckenridge is hot, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, we got Cody Big Mo Momarts, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. There he is. Right here, you got Conor McGregor, ladies and gentlemen. Conor McGregor's got a couple bent knees right there, ladies and gentlemen. You see that? Conor McGregor's got his couple bent knees. Right there, right over to the side of the table there, ladies and gentlemen. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, none other than BKFC, the big fake boxer, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Perry, ladies and gentlemen. I'll eat everything you got. I'll eat everything you got, Big Ben Rothwell. Big Ben Rothwell, I'll eat everything you got. That's what Mike Perry's saying to Big Ben Rothwell over there. He'll eat everything that Big Ben Rothwell's got. As long as Mike Perry gets paid enough. Mike Perry will do 8,000 fake boxing matches as long as he gets paid well. Okay? Simon Feck was there backstage. I seen it all. I heard enough. I've seen it. Why do you think Ariel Helwani, back to the media thing, why do you think Ariel Helwani, got removed from Vox Media? Because he went to fake sports, fake boxing. It's simple, people. Now, isn't that right, Mr. Jim Bankoff, ladies and gentlemen. We had to squeeze that one out. Jim Bankoff most likely got rid of Ariel Helwani, and I would like to say 100%, but we'll just keep it like that. Most likely, Jim Bankoff got rid of Ariel Helwani because he went to fake boxing. Think about that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, in the ring right here. Let's bring him around a little bit. You see him right here? The big tall guy right there. Making his debut right here. Making his debut right here, ladies and gentlemen. Jackson McVey, ladies and gentlemen. Grabbing the head of the man down, Brunno Ferreira. Down begging Jackson McVey not to finish him off. Ladies and gentlemen. In Jackson McVey's corner right here, you have Bryan Battle, ladies and gentlemen. In Bruno's corner right here, none other than Derek Moneyberg, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Right here in the blue, ladies and gentlemen, right here, Mickey Gall, like we said before. That's right, that's going around the room, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Jim Bankoff, hey, Jim Bankoff, when I get done with this, you're going to want to hire Simon Feck. All these other media guys know what's going on. You got one of your guys, Jose Youngs, inside the Apex, getting a red carpet rolled out by Dana White, yet he's got a YouTube channel, nothing but wrecking the UFC. I mean, it's great, man. You gotta love it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Unbelievable that went down. All right, let's skip back. I was gonna do something. Let's see. Let's start it all over.
And then you're like, I'm going to take advantage of it? Or, like, how did you build up your Instagram to be what it was? Because I think that also helped your case.
Yeah, let me know how you built it up.
Yeah, it was, I look back on it now and I'm almost embarrassed because it was so, like, the edits were so bad, bro. But it worked. Like, yeah. I just saw something out there because I've seen, like, you can't just jump in and do the same shit that everybody else is doing. That's where people make mistakes. They're like, I want to start an account, and then they just start posting the same shit that the big accounts already have. So it's like, why would I follow your shit when I can just follow the big one? But anyways, yeah, I took old footage of fighters and interviews, and I would cut them up, and I would make these stupid questions that were like made up to go with the footage of the fighter talking, and then I would send them to the fighter and DM it to him, and you know, certain ones would end up reposting it.
That's exactly what you do. So all you young people out there, or anybody, I should say, anybody who wants to get into the media, what you do is you go around stealing everybody else's material. That's right. You just steal it. Okay? Just go ahead and steal it. Do what you need to do with it. Change it. Do whatever you want. And distance yourself. What you do is you send it to a fighter. At least that's what you tell the public, right? You don't post it. No, you don't post it at all. You know? Okay? But what you do is you send it to a fighter, and then if the fighter wants to post it, so that way you distance yourself from it, so you didn't really steal it because you were just going to let one person see it. It doesn't matter if it's one person or 6,000 people. You don't go around stealing people's material.
And that was kind of how I made connections with fighters. Was I would reach out to them that way, and if they knew any fighter, I'd be like, hey, can you link me with this guy, etc., etc.
Because what I could do is I could go around and I could, for your buddy, your fighter buddy, I could go and I could steal a bunch of material you know, and then make a funny video with him in it, you know, and just go around stealing everybody's material.
They would be like, huh? Like, who are these guys, you know? So I was like, I guess I'm old enough to be an OG at this point, so we just kind of ran with it. Shawny Mack was like sort of a cutoff of Sean McDonald, my full name, and then we just threw an OG at the front of it.
Did you know there's a fighter named Sean Mack? He fights in the regional scene. He fought Keith Lee, who's Kevin Lee's brother. Did you know this?
Yeah, Keith Lee, the food influencer now.
That's right.
What about Alex K. Lee? Alex K. Lee that knows that Jose Youngs is the sewer king. How come Alex K. Lee knows that Jose Youngs is the sewer king and he won't do anything about it? Listen, I talked to James Lynch, and James Lynch said he'll talk to Jose Youngs the next time he sees him. That was about 4 days ago, right? So then James goes straight and has a dinner, a lunch with another media guy discussing what I told him. Okay? So then after that, Jose Youngs doesn't show up to UFC New Orleans. But yet now James Youngs, is that his name? Okay, James Lynch knows. At least he knows there's a story out there, fake or real, and he won't report on it. Why won't he report on it? I thought when you're a journalist, and especially a good journalist, you report on a story. There's a great story out there.
Which is just crazy. Like, I remember Keith Lee, the Bellator fighter, the fighter that fought TJ Laramie's brother in TKO. A lot of people forget that. That was his pro debut.
Yeah, he was.
He just said a lot of people forget that. People forget, man. People forget that Alex K. Lee knows that the sewer king is Jose Youngs. Yeah, people forget, man. People forget.
Not a bad MMA fighter, but
good.
I mean, the entire world, I feel like, doesn't know that he ever even stepped foot in a cage.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go, a little bit of trivia there. And my last question, what is the ultimate career goal? I mean, to a lot of people, you're doing it right now. You're going to every event. You're covering it. Is it this, or is there something you want to do even more as far as your career when it's all set?
Okay, here's what I did. I put a Instagram out to OG Shawny Mack, and I said that I wanted to be one or two of these jobs that he's getting ready to mention. Now let's see if OG Shawny Mack's going to get back to Simon Feck 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. I bet you he doesn't get back to me. Okay? And I know him personally. He doesn't know me as, you know, as this. So anyways, this weekend I'll tap you on the shoulder there. And when I tap you on the shoulder, OG Shawny Mack, you'll know what I'm going to be telling you is you didn't get back with me. And don't tell me that you're too busy or anything like that. It's because you don't get back to people. And neither does James Lynch, which we haven't gone over that yet in this stupid video. I skipped a lot of crap, ladies and gentlemen, because I got 8,000 things on the board to get to.
I would say have a team. Like, have an entire team that I can just, you know, sit at home, watch the fights, in the comfort of my own home with my homies and my friends and my family, and I can just kind of dictate the jobs. I can be like, all right, you're going to this fight night. I want you to do this type of content tonight. I want you to be, you know, active on Twitter. I want you to be running our YouTube, so I can just build a fucking empire, man. Like, you know, 10 years from now, I want to be.
Why don't you run the story on Jose Youngs, about Jose Youngs being the sewer king, and then he gets fired from MMA fighting on SBN, and he gets kicked out of the UFC media area because, you know, Dana White's not going to, you know, Dana White's not going to put up with that idiot, you know, going around knocking his company down and his employees and fighters and everything else, and Nina Drama You know, because we don't know if Nina Drama's an employee or not. Why don't you hire, you know, Simon Feck, 1 foot cock? And then the people out there are going to go, well, I thought you worked in the Apex, man. I thought you worked in the Apex. I do. It's not the point. Let's see if this guy reaches out to Simon Feck. The thing that I'm referring to here, I didn't even show you yet, so hopefully it comes out good, you know.
Sitting back and have like a couple of journalists underneath me to be like, you know, that's my prodigy. This is my prodigy. That, you know, and just turn this whole thing into an empire, man.
Love it. Sean, thanks for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we got to kind of tell your story and talk about all the things that are going on in the industry. If there is anything you want to mention before we get out of here, anything you got going on, any social media you want to plug, as I always do on the show, I will give you the last word.
Listen, Full Send MMA on YouTube, Full Send MMA on Instagram, on TikTok, and to anybody out there that's stealing our content, or anybody's content in general, when you put fucking credit this guy or credit that guy, and you're reposting our content, shame on you. I'm gonna leave.
Wow, so I cut it off right before the end. Oh, so let me ask you this, OG Shawny Mack. Okay? Is it cool that Simon Feck goes and just, you know, steals, you know, scrapes some of your material and changes it and sends it to fighters, and then if fighters post it, I guess it's okay? Is that what I'm getting, Mr. Full Send MMA? Now, you see, when people own stuff, okay, just like the Sewer King, he got mad. He goes around stealing all kinds of people's material as well. OG Shawny Mack, don't steal his material, but he could go around stealing other people's material, changing it, putting his own questions in there, you know, taking somebody's work and fucking with it. OG Shawny Mack can fuck with other people's fucking material and steal it and send it to a fighter, and if a fighter posts it, well then, I guess it's okay. I just distance myself from it. I'm going to start taking Full Send MMA stuff and changing it and send it to fighters. I'm in there every week. I see every fighter that comes in there. Old Shawny Mack ain't in there every week. Pretty close to it, but he ain't in there every week. But my point is I come in close contact with these people. How come Jose Youngs doesn't talk to this guy Shawny Mack here? How come Jose Youngs doesn't yell at Shawny Mack? He works side by side with him. Shawny Mack gets special privilege to go out in the hallway and get interviews with fighters. The two journalists that gets special privileges, it's Nina Drama and this guy here, OG Shawny Mack. But Jose Youngs has a problem with Nina Drama, but he doesn't have a problem with this guy right here, Full Send MMA, OG Shawny Mack. Why don't you say something to OG Shawny Mack, Jose Youngs? Let's go over this again.
Thing I noticed about you is you had a lot of followers. I know you did like the dub videos and you put like stuff together and sort of do stuff like that, and that sort of helped you build things up. Was that something you saw was like a trend and you're like, I'm going to take advantage of it? Or like, how did you build up your Instagram to be what it was? Because I think that also helped your case, is that, hey, you had a following already, right?
So you got this idiot right here, James Lynch. James Lynch is calling a dubbed video. Oh, it's okay, because, you know, we're talking about OG Shawny Mack, the Full Send MMA guy. It's okay if he does it, but none of you do it. Don't know. None of you steal. No, nobody else. No, don't steal. Don't steal our material. But it's okay that Shawny Mack does. Let's talk about it. Hey, Shawny Mack, tell us how you stole from other people. Okay? Why don't you go ahead and tell us? Go ahead. Tell us how you stole other people's material and how you distributed it.
Yeah, it was, bro, it was, I look back on it now and I'm almost embarrassed because it was so like.
He's not embarrassed that he stole the material. What he's embarrassed about is that it was so, like, I guess not good, or cringe is kind of like what the taste that's coming here, but it's so, the edits were bad. It was, man, I'm so embarrassed that the stolen material that I was using, I didn't do my best. Or, I should have been able to do better with the stolen material. Since I got the material so easy, all I did was just scrape it right off the internet.
The edits were so bad, bro.
Oh, yeah, the stolen material edits were so bad, bro. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how looking back, man. Doesn't mention a thing about, I'm sorry I stole material. Everybody worries about themselves. The Sewer King goes around wrecking people's lives and their careers and whatever else. And the Sewer King then worries about getting strikes. He's not worried about, man, I hope I didn't hurt somebody's feelings. That's why I'm getting strikes. This guy here, he's so embarrassed, man. Oh, man, I'm just so embarrassed.
But it worked. Like,
the stolen material, it worked. It worked because I was stealing. It was good material. I only stole the good material. I didn't steal the shitty material.
Just saw something out there because I seen like.
I just saw something out there. I was like, I could steal that.
You can't just jump in and do the same shit that everybody else is doing.
No, they're getting their own material. Well, you just can't just jump right in, and just steal anything. You got to know what to steal, man. Steal the good stuff.
That's where people make mistakes. They're like, I want to start an account, and then they just start posting the same shit that.
Right. So what you do, don't post the same shit. Just get the same shit and change it to, like, not reality. Change it to, like, something that never happened, Like fake questions and stuff. And then people will laugh, So then what you do is you ruin that guy's hard-earned and put a lot of work and probably money into it, ruined his work, or her, and then, like maybe the fighter, making the fighter look like, an embarrassing moment to the fighter, which never happened. Making them, answer questions, making them look silly. Don't worry about wrecking other people's careers and wrecking their lives and whatever else. Just, go ahead and just steal stuff. That's what you do. That's a good media thing to do.
Big accounts already have, so it's like, why would I follow your shit when I can just follow the big one? But anyways.
Why should I follow, like, the small guy's stuff when I can just follow the big one and steal the good material?
Yeah, I took old footage of fighters and interviews.
Oh, he took old footage. It wasn't, like, current. Or, you really can't steal future, like, stuff that hasn't been made yet, but, yeah, so I was, like, old. Like, old stuff. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I was stealing old stuff. How about I steal his old stuff?
And I would cut them up and I would make these stupid questions that were like made up to go with the footage of the fighter talking, and then I would.
There you go. Just fuck up people's shit. Take somebody's work and fuck it. Steal it and fuck it.
I would send them to the fighter and DM it to him, and
Yeah, definitely send it to the fighter and DM them. Okay? And what you do, that's, you know, you distance yourself, but you never posted it yourself. Not one. No, it was just like, you know, if the fighter just happened to, you know, just, you know, like post it, you know. So that made everything a lot, you know, that made everything smooth and okay and everything. Yeah. So basically you go and you steal people's stuff, and then you cut it up, and then you put fake questions in there and you make the fighter look stupid, like he's not answering a question right or whatever. Guaranteed it's bashing somebody in somehow, some way, and stealing. And you're not posting it at all. Never posted one of them. That was only if the fighter posted it. So therefore, you know,
certain ones would end up reposting it.
oh yes, you know, some of them would just happen to repost it.
And that was kind of how I made connections with fighters. Was I would reach out to them that way, and if they knew any fighter, I'd be like, hey, can you link me with this guy, et cetera, et cetera. And then I got pretty good at making memes. I feel like I have a pretty quick-witted sense of humor. You know what I mean? And
Yep. Same thing with memes. There's not too many memes that don't really like. I mean, they're not like really in favor of the person that you're making the meme about. You know, basically it's like wrecking people's lives or careers.
I was able to catch on to making internet memes pretty quickly. I mean, mind you, it's gotten me in some shit, but hell.
Yeah, gotten into some shit. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. So basically, what I need to do is I need to steal his material, but he'll probably say he doesn't want people stealing his material, right? I don't know.
Tour fighter, the fighter that fought TJ Laramie's brother in TKO. A lot of people forget that. That was his pro debut.
Yeah, he was.
A lot of people forget, man. A lot of people forget, man. A lot of people forget, man. People forget Jose Youngs used to work for MMA Fighting on SBN, ladies and gentlemen.
Not a bad MMA fighter, but
good.
I mean, the entire world, I feel like, doesn't know that he ever even stepped foot in a cage.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go, a little bit of trivia there. And my last question, what is the ultimate career goal? I mean, to a lot of people, you're doing it right now. You're going to every event. You're covering it. Is it this, or is there something you want to do even more as far as your career when it's all said and done?
I would say have a team. Like, have an entire team that I can just, sit at home, watch the fights in the comfort of my own home with my homies and my friends and my family. And I can just kind of dictate the jobs. I can be like, all right, you're going to this fight night. I want you to do this type of content tonight. I want you to be, active on Twitter. I want you to be running our YouTube. So I can just build a fucking empire, man. Like, 10 years from now, I want to be sitting back and have like a couple of journalists underneath me to be like, that's my prodigy. This is my prodigy. That and just turn this whole thing into an empire, man.
Love it. Sean, thanks for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we got to kind of tell your story and talk about all the things that are going on in the industry. If there is anything you want to mention before we get out of here, anything you got going on, any social media you want to plug, as I always do on the show, I will give you the last word.
Listen, Full Send MMA on YouTube, Full Send MMA on Instagram, on TikTok, and to anybody out there that's stealing our content, or anybody's content in general, when you put fucking credit this guy or credit that guy, and you're reposting our content, shame on you. I'm gonna leave it at that.
So you heard it right there. OG Shawny Mack says, don't steal anybody's material. Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this just came in. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some news that just came in. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Mundell just received a personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Mundell, now the proud owner of an actual personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. This breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. BKFC fighter Dave Mundell just received a personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Dave Mundell, BKFC bare knuckle boxer, just received a brand new personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's one thing Dave Mundell's been missing his whole life, ladies and gentlemen, is a personality, ladies and gentlemen. Next time you see Dave Mundell, please go up to him, congratulate him. Receiving his first personality in his life, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully he treats it good, ladies and gentlemen. That was stupid. Cut that one. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. We have some breaking bare knuckle news for you, ladies and gentlemen. BKFC boxer, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Mundell just received a personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Your BKFC boxer, Dave Mundell, now is the proud owner of a personality, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You heard it here from Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's the MMA Guru and the RW. What is that? RW. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, people forget, man. People forget that the MMA Guru said that Robert Whittaker has the biggest penis in the UFC, ladies and gentlemen. People forget, man. People forget. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike Perry, and I'll eat everything you got, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike Perry, and I'll eat everything you got. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock. Ladies and gentlemen, MMA JOEY announcing that anybody that wants to collab with him, all you have to do is get a hold of him. MMA JOEY is not going to get a hold of anybody, he says. If you want to collab with MMA JOEY, all you have to do is get a hold of him. He said he will collab with anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, Simon Feck says, hey, MMA JOEY, let's collab together. Everybody out there in YouTube land, please get a hold of MMA JOEY and tell him that Simon Feck wants to collab with his fat ass. Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Blaine Henry. Ladies and gentlemen, Blaine Henry. Blaine Henry. The Jose Youngs and the AKA Sewer King works right alongside you, and you have no idea that Jose Youngs is the Sewer King. The guy that goes around bashing Dana White, Nina Drama, and whoever else. It doesn't matter when we get past those two. E Casey Leydon. E Casey Leydon. The guy that looks like the Sewer King. But he's not the Sewer King. You know how he's not the Sewer King? Because he's not the Sewer King. Hey, Casey, your buddy there, Jose Youngs, the Sewer King, going around bashing Nina Drama and Dana White. That's a smart move right there, right? Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, people forget, man. People forget, man, that Amy Kaplan's boss is Jose Youngs, a.k.a. the Sewer King. I don't know if Amy Kaplan told Nina Drama that her boss is Jose Youngs, a.k.a. Sewer King. I don't know if she told Nina Drama after Nina Drama stuck her neck out. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. Ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, we dedicate this show today to a great musician by the name of Ozzy Osbourne, ladies and gentlemen. Our hearts go out to Mr. John Michael Osbourne's family and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, Ozzy Osbourne lost his life today. The singer-musician, the Prince of Darkness himself, ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous solo artist in what people call heavy metal, the lead singer in groundbreaking heavy metal, let's call it hard rock, ladies and gentlemen, band Black Sabbath, ladies and gentlemen. Ozzy Osbourne lost his life today, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here. Simon Feck would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure everybody knows by now, Ozzy Osbourne lost his life today. The huge soloist, musician, singer, and the frontman for the legendary band Black Sabbath lost his life today. I don't know what to say. It's a great loss, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. Our hearts go out to the family of the Ozzy Osbourne family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. As you all know, Ozzy Osbourne lost his life earlier today. The great soloist, great heights with the band, Ozzy Osbourne, and also the frontman for the legendary band, the Black Sabbath Doom and Gloom band, ladies and gentlemen. Ozzy will be missed, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. The great Ozzy Osbourne, as you all know, has lost his life today, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, a legend has been lost, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Besides fronting his own band, ladies and gentlemen, the Ozzy Osbourne band, which reached great heights. Don't forget also Ozzy was in the legendary Black Sabbath, ladies and gentlemen, the one that everybody says, or most everybody says, created heavy metal, ladies and gentlemen, hard rock, whatever you want to call it, ladies and gentlemen. Our hearts go out to the Ozzy Osbourne family, ladies and gentlemen. May you rest in peace, John Michael Osbourne. Thank you very much. You're a great part of a lot of our lives, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck, 1 Foot Caught.